What's going on YouTube? Chris here. I want to bring you all an update today of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin Digibyte, and OMG. Those are the 5 we're going to be going over. But what I want to do, I want to start with Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame here. And what I wanted to look at was this ascending triangle. And guys, what I'm going to be going out of here, this is called Getting Started in Chart Patterns. It's by Thomas N. Bolkowski. And what it talks about for ascending triangles, and we're going to identify this for Bitcoin and see if we're still in that ascending triangle. What are our odds that we're going to continue to move to the upside? What are the odds of a downside move as well? So we're going to get into all that, guys. If you get some from this, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Appreciate y'all being here with me today. Not feeling the best, so just bear with me. Got a little bit of allergies going on, but just bear with me. That's the best that I can say. So my voice can be a little shaky back and forth. But what we're looking at for ascending triangles here, number one, what it says is look for peaks that top out near the same price, a horizontal top. That's what we have right in this area. It's slightly down a little bit. So some people could say this is, like a symmetrical triangle, but I would put it more, besides this manipulated move here, I would put it as an ascending triangle. Number two, find prices that make higher valleys. Prices should touch an upsloping trend line drawn beneath the valleys. And when you're looking at trend lines, you want to try to get the most touches possible. And right now, this is my bottom trend line. You can see we went right down to it. So guys, we're fighting right now. We have the 200 moving average on the 4-hour over top. We have the 50 moving average over top, and we have the 20 moving average over top acting as overhead resistance now. But we have to remember they're moving sideways, and moving averages aren't as powerful when they're moving sideways because we're just ranging as opposed to when you're trending up or down. Okay, so we have to be aware of that, but we're fighting to stay in this ascending triangle right now. We need more volume. This isn't a lot of volume coming in here. We don't want just a little weak reaction bounce, then a big fall down through this ascending triangle. If that is the case, I'd start looking at some lower levels, guys, and I'm going to get into all that. But next, what it says here, prices must touch each trend line at least twice. We have that. We have 3 times at the top there. We're looking at about 5 on the bottom, so that's perfect. So far, everything matching up here, guys. Prices must cross the chart pattern from side to side, leaving little white space in between. That's what we have here. Tons of chop back and forth. So that's another one. The 2 trend lines converge at a triangle apex. You can see how that's forming. Basically, we're getting to that apex. The volume trends downward 77% of the time from the start, right back in here, and this was May 8th, all the way down 70% of the time. And you can see the volume has, for the most part, trended down. You can see this slope right here. More so just sideways, but down a little bit as well. The next one, a breakout occurs when price closes outside the trend line boundary. An upward breakout occurs 70% of the time. So what we have to realize is with ascending triangles, 30% of the time they can break to the downside. And you have that 70% chance they will actually continue. And that's what we're looking for here. Is this ascending triangle going to be continuation of the move that we've been having here? You can see right here. And now we're looking at that consolidation, that ranging to decide, is this it for the trend? And we're going to start going back down. And this is distribution, right? Or is this continuation? We're cooling everything down before we have that next pop to the upside. And we try to get over top at 10,500, which has been plaguing us for a long time. But what we're going to need is volume. So right now, I would say we've identified an ascending triangle here, which 70% of the time it breaks to the upside. Our trend in the secondary term has been up here. Intermediate secondary term up. Overall, we're still in a macro downtrend. And then in the short term, we're just ranging sideways. So that's why it's so important for us to start getting volume and to have us get up above, that 10,000 psychologically, and that $10,500 is going to be so crucial for us. Right now, we're sitting at $9,259. So that's Bitcoin, guys. Next one we're going to get into is Ethereum. You get something from that, let me know down low. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll get into Ethereum. And Ethereum and these other coins I wanted to look at on the 1-day time frame. So Bitcoin was all 4-hour. We're going to look at Ethereum on the 1 day. But you can see a lot of fight between the bulls and the bears here. So Ethereum's at $234. Now, with Ethereum, we're fighting with this 20 EMA in purple. And that's a very important moving average. Most uptrends were above it all the time. You can see over here. So basically, once we got up above it, we started this beautiful uptrend. Once we dropped below it, it was Crash City. So that's why it's so important to pay attention to these things. We're fighting with this right now. We want to continue to hold the 50 as support as well. we start losing the 50, guys, it could be down to this 200 moving average very quickly, and that's about $186. So it's important now that we start moving to the upside as soon as possible and getting up over top of $243, and ultimately this $250 that we've hit now 3 or 4 times that we haven't been able to break. So I'm really going to watch $252 in terms of resistance. Support, I'm looking at around $216. We are starting to have a little stock downside cross here that was correlating with this bearish engulfing candle. RSI's at 51. We're running neutral. And then we'll take a look at trading view for Ethereum as well. This will come up for us. So right now you can see how neutral we are. 9 sell, 10 neutral, 9 buy. I mean, this is very neutral, guys. Really a coin flip right now on what happens. And that's why it's been so hard to do videos on all this, because we're just really moving sideways a ton right now. We're just waiting and we're trying to be patient. Litecoin still in a little bit of trouble here. We're at $42.68. You can see the sell signal really deep here in the sell. What's going on? We're having a stock cross to the downside. Our RSI, we've been losing a little bit of steam there. We're at 43. We're below our 20, our 50, and our 200, and the green trend line that we broke down through. That could act as overhead resistance again. But Litecoin, I mean, still, for the most part, we've just been ranging sideways as well. We haven't had the bounce that I would say Ethereum had or Bitcoin had after the massive crash here. We had this little bounce, and we've really just been moving sideways, and we really need to find out, is this going to be some nasty, gnarly, monstrous bear flag, and we have a huge break to the downside, or we finally just consolidate and get a move to the upside? Guys, right now, I would be careful in Litecoin just due to these reasons. You got a lot of downward pressure on you right now, and you almost have like a descending triangle here. If you drew this out, and then we kind of have a flat bottom here, and 70% of the time descending triangles break to the downside. It's kind of the opposite of that ascending triangle. So that's Litecoin, guys. Next one we're going to go on to is going to be Digibyte. And if you're here for Digibyte, let me know down low. I want to see all the people who come to this channel for Digibyte as well. See if you all want me to keep covering it. All right, so with Digibyte, we're fighting here, guys. We're moving sideways. It's a really big fight. We had a huge amount of volume come in right there. And sometimes, guys, that can be almost like a climax top. You have to be aware of that. But what we could draw for Digibyte right here is what I'd do. And we'll see what we form. All right, so we have a bit of a symmetrical triangle here, almost like a little flag pattern. And guys, that would be nice, because this would be our pull on massive volume. And typically in these flags or pennants, the volume will typically go down, and then you'll have that next pop to the upside. So this is something I'm going to keep an eye on here. I'm going to keep these drawn. I think you should on your chart as well. If we start having a downside break here, guys, we could probably go all the way back to that 200 moving average on the one-day time frame at 0.00994 is where I'd be looking at for support, because out of a symmetrical triangle, which is a neutral pattern, once you have that break, it could be 20-30% to either direction. So we got to be careful on this as well. We also don't want to start trading below this 50 moving average, because then that will turn into overhead resistance, and we don't want that right now. We want to stay up above that, keep it as support, so we can start breaking up through some of these higher areas and see if we can get up above that 0.02461 is what I'm going to be looking at there. Now, in terms of trading view, we have 3 sell, 9 neutral, and a 16 buy. So where we're getting our buy here is on our moving averages. We're a lot more neutral in our oscillators. We're having a sell for the momentum, and we're having a sell for the MACD. The awesome oscillators throwing a buy right now. Okay, so you can see, though, like how Digibyte's ahead of Litecoin, because it's up above these moving averages, and that will show you. So right now, I think for Digibyte, what we would want to see is just a symmetrical triangle, a breakout to the upside. But what we're going to need out of that is Bitcoin and Ethereum to get moving as well. That's what's going to be really important for us here. But a candle close today up above the 50 would be a good thing for us. Remember, if you're playing Digibyte, it's going to be very volatile, because the books are slimmer, or the volume's less than like what Bitcoin is, and it can be swung around a lot more. So just really keep an eye on that. And then we're going to get into Omisego next. Let me know if you're here for Omisego, if this is a project you like. So Omisego is still holding its 50 moving average. It is still holding this $1.38, which was important. This was our previous resistance. We're trying to hold it as support. just move sideways, let everything cool down so we can get a nice pop next to the upside. It'd be nice to turn this into some type of little bull flag here, but it's going to take Ethereum moving, it's going to take Bitcoin moving. And what we do need to be aware of here, we had higher volume selling right in this area. You can see our volume that was dropping down here, so we did have a little bit of selling action going on. Our best hope is to set basically a higher low right in that area where we're at now, and then try to get up above $1.65. We're still holding our 200, we're holding our 50, we're fighting with this 20. We're going to have to see what happens with that. Like I said, typically in uptrends, you're going to try to hold that most of the time. You can see over here, we held it most of the time. Once we lost it, we had a drop. All over here, for the most part, it acted as overhead resistance. See that? Typically in uptrends, we hold it as support. So this is something we're going to have to really keep an eye on here. Our stock is starting to cross to the downside, so we need to be aware of that. Our RSI is at 49, running neutral. It's just a tougher spot right now. We had a nice trend line break out of this teal trend line here, but a lot of times you can have those breaks. You can come all the way back here before you move again. You can all back test it. So that's something that does happen, and we need to be aware of that. Now for Omisego, very neutral in this area. We're having 11 sell, we're having a 10 neutral and a 7 buy. You can see the shorter term moving averages turning to sell. We're having thrown some buys on the longer ones like that 50, that 100, 200 we were talking about, and very neutral over here, on all the oscillators. And we're just basically waiting for Bitcoin to make its move, waiting for Ethereum, because Omisego is an ERC20 token as well. So it's really going to be driven by Ethereum, and we need to pay attention to that. But that's what I have for you today, guys. I appreciate you being here with me. God bless you all. Leave it down low. I appreciate you. Take care.